$500 Social Security.
I put those 2 jobs in your indent.
Okay, I'll be in the morning.
I found the 2000.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order this Wednesday, May 5th, 2021 regular meeting of the Board of Education. Will you please call the roll?
Mr. Gomez?
Here.
Dr. Hall?
Here.
Ms. Moffitt?
Here.
Ms. Schofield?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here. Item B, agenda motion to approve the agenda. It's recommended the Board of Education approve the agenda of the April 21st, 2021 regular Board of Education meeting. Action by the Board of Education and adoption of a consent agenda means that all items are adopted by one singular motion unless a member of the Board of Education, treasurer, or superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moffitt?
Aye.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Item C, opening ceremony. Welcome. We have many students and staff members and community members and their family with us this evening. Thank you for being here. We welcome all of you. Our vision, Cuyahoga Falls City Schools, the hub of our community, committed to a culture of caring. We innovate, we create, we personalize education for all. Our mission, every student, every day, every opportunity. Informational items. This meeting is a meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not a public community meeting, although there are opportunities for public participation. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic found on our meeting agenda, the individual must complete a registration form found inside the attendance notebook and present it to the treasurer. Following the introduction of the topic by the board president, followed by board discussion, the individual will be recognized. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic not found on the meeting agenda, she or he must notify the superintendent and/or board president of the topic no later than 3 business days in advance of the meeting. These individuals may share their comments during the board business portion of the agenda. In both cases, the individual will preface comments by an announcement of his or her name and address and limit comments to 3 minutes. All statements should be directed to the board president. No person may address or question board members individually. In addition, in public session, the board will not hear complaints about school personnel nor against any person connected with the school system. An unabridged board agenda for this meeting can be found on your electronic device at the address shown on the screen. And for your convenience, hard copies of the agenda may be found on the librarian's desk. The next regularly scheduled meetings of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education are on May 19th and June 2nd at 5:30 p.m. here in the Cuyahoga Falls High School Library, 2300 4th Street, Cuyahoga Falls. And a Board of Education Finance Committee meeting will be held on May 13th, 2021 at 9 a.m. at the Harold E. Wilson Administration Center, 431 Stowe Avenue, Cuyahoga Falls. And now for our Pledge of Allegiance, followed by positive reflections. Mr. Anthony Gomez.
If you'd please stand as you're able and join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Usually for positive reflections, we each would find a quote to share, but since it's Teacher Appreciation Week, I wanted to do something different. And before tonight, I decided I want to encourage all of you to reach out to one educator that you know that's made a difference in your life this week and let them know. Because hearing from those that they have as students, I know means a lot, but hearing from those that they had as students that still remember what an impact they had on them means a lot to them. And I had decided I wanted to offer a reflection on one of my teachers tonight. And by happenstance, she showed up. So if Mrs. Cheryl Beisel would stand up so we could recognize her. Mrs. Beisel was my Project Excel teacher when I was at Preston in elementary school. And she's had a humongous impact on my life and my trajectory and my career and my goals. And even more than a teacher, she's become a true friend. So I wanted to reflect on her and thank her for the difference she's made in my life.
I love you, Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. We're ready for presentations, and we'll start with our Friend of Education Award, Mrs. McClure.
evening, everybody. This is normally Dr. Nichols' role. Unfortunately, he's under the weather this evening, so I am Ellen McClure. I'm the Director of Human Resources for the district, so I'll be handling our presentations this evening. Our first presentation it's called our Friend of Education Award, and it is nominated to a local business or someone that is really supporting our school district, and they are nominated by someone who works for our staff. So if Carl Warther is here from Dairy Queen. Not here, okay. I'm also gonna invite Casey Hudak up to the podium. Casey is the PTO president of Price Elementary, and Price as PTO worked in tandem with Dairy Queen to provide their support for our district. So I'm gonna turn it over to you and let you kind of explain what Dairy Queen did to earn this award, and then we'll talk about their presentation.
Okay. Hi, as she said, I am Casey Hudak. I am the PTO president at Price Elementary School and the incoming PTO vice president at Roberts Middle School. As most of you know, a big job of PTO is to raise money so that we are able to purchase items for the schools and provide enrichment activities for the students. Fun ain't cheap, y'all. This can be a daunting task. However, when I reach out to Carl at Portage Trail Dairy Queen, I know he's going to help ease my fundraising load. I don't think he knows the meaning of the word no when it comes to helping our schools. Not only does he donate ice cream and food to schools, he also donates coupons for food and ice cream so that families can enjoy these treats together after school hours. When I approached Carl about creating something new, he was eager to help. We worked together to create a new fundraiser, the Roundup to Donate fundraiser. This fundraiser has been utilized by 4 schools in the past 4 months and was a huge success. When asked why he is so generous to our community, he responded that he grew up in a small town. Local businesses help to support his schools and community. When he became a business owner, he knew that he wanted to do the same. Carl is a true friend of education. I think I speak for everyone in this room when I say, thank you for calling Cuyahoga Falls your home.
Thank you, Casey, so much. So the district will be presenting Carl and his staff at Dairy Queen with this certificate that says this certificate is presented to Dairy Queen in recognition of your initiating a partnership with Cuyahoga Falls High School, your unique and timely donation of portable hand sanitizing stations during a pandemic, and your generous contribution and your endeavor to partner with the Cuyahoga Falls City School District truly establishes you as a member of our Black Tiger family. So we'll make sure that Carl and all of his staff know how much we appreciate him over there. Thank you so much.
Let's give another round of applause for our local Dairy Queen. And now we're ready for our staff recognition.
So typically during this portion of our board meetings, we recognize our star staff member, one staff member at every meeting. And again, that is an award that our staff members are nominated by their colleagues, someone that they work with that has just wants to give them some extra recognition for the work that they have done. Well, this year, and for this meeting, we decided we need to really recognize some people who have worked incredibly hard this year and are pretty much our unsung heroes. And those would be all of our substitutes. They saved us this year. I'll just be honest. Our substitutes saved us. We were lucky enough to assign building subs, at least 1 or 2 to every building. And during a pandemic, that just made everyone feel safer. They didn't have to worry about going in and out of different schools. People didn't have to worry about the different, people in and out of and mixing up in germs and things like that. But we can't thank you enough, our substitutes. So we do have an award for you. This is my assistant, Peggy Whitcomb, who's going to help me with the awards. So we have a certificate for each of you. We're going to call you up and name what building you're working in. And then we also have a certificate for you. And it says this certificate is presented to you in recognition of your outstanding contribution to the achievement of Cuyahoga Falls City School District students and the support of Cuyahoga Falls City School District staff members. And on behalf of Dr. Nichols' cabinet, as well as the members of the board and all of our administrative team, we cannot thank you enough for the work that you have done. We are we are just so blessed to have you join our staff this year. So without further ado, I'm going to start with Andrew Albright, who did long-term subbing in Cuyahoga Falls High School. Andrew, come on up. All right. We'll go on to the next one. I know she's here. Victoria Allen, come on up. Victoria, thank you so much. We appreciate it. I want to show before we get too far. So this is the award that everyone is getting. It's a star. I don't know if you can see, it's acrylic. And it says Star Substitute. Thank you for supporting our students and staff. So we're just super, super happy to have them here. Next, Caitlin Bowers, who worked at Richardson. Rachel Cheffins, who worked in our food service department. So our long-term subs and our year-long subs didn't just work in our classrooms. They worked in our food service department. They worked in our transportation, our custodial and maintenance department. John Conracode, who worked at the high school. Thank you, John, so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Evan Cool, who also worked at the high school. Thank you, Evan, so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Evan.
Charlotte Doherty, who worked at DeWitt. Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Jody Draymond, who worked at the high school. Go, Jody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ryan Dunk, who split his time between Bolick and Lincoln. Ryan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan.
Amelia Golick, who is at Bolick. Amelia is also the brand new art teacher at Bolick for next school year.
Oh.
Kaylee Jones at Price Elementary School. Matthew Kelly at Cuyahoga Falls High School. Matt is also a brand new math teacher for Cuyahoga Falls High School next year. Thank you, Matt. Brian Kaiser at Preston Elementary. Hi, Brian. Thank you so much.
Ryan, thank you.
Christina Martin, also at Preston. Emma McCann, who has done work all over our district. Emma here. Jane Metcalf from Richardson. Jane is a retired Cuyahoga Falls teacher who came back. Thank you, Jane, so much for your help.
Thank you, John.
Anthony Petrasco at Bolick. Thanks, Tony, so much.
Thank you, ladies.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're the best. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Terrence Reddick, also at Bolick. Ross Reeves from Cuyahoga Falls High School. Thank you, Ross, so much. John Richmond on our custodial maintenance team who subbed at Schnee Learning Center all year. Robin Rouse from Richardson. Robin is also a retired Cuyahoga Falls teacher. They just keep coming in. Thank you, Robin, so much.
Thank you, Ellen. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Noah Scott at DeWitt. Thank you, Noah, so much for all your help. Oh. Lisa Scribner at Richardson. Lisa works in a couple of our buildings, mostly Richardson, sometimes Bolick. Oh, it's closer to home. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you.
Amanda Smith from DeWitt. Nicola Smith from Lincoln. Oh, wait a minute, Amanda, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I moved too fast. Thank you so much.
A real round of applause.
And this is Nicola. Thank you so much. Julianne Stadelman from our food service department has worked some all year. Daniel Turner from Cuyahoga Falls High School. Thank you so much, Dan. We appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you, Dan.
Keith Weber from Roberts Middle School. And Elizabeth Wood from Price Elementary School. Thank you, Elizabeth, so much. I have a couple more names. I wanted to just read. These were folks that told us for sure they would not be available this evening. Jane Charles is one of our wonderful secretary subs. So we see her right now at Cuyahoga Falls High School. She's also a retired secretary for Cuyahoga Falls. Nathan Dorr is at Silver Lake. Bernie Gaffney is at Preston. Colin Gardner, also at Preston. Rebecca Green has worked in our transportation department for us this whole year. Debbie Hackbarth is another secretary who has subbed all across our district for us this year. Catherine Hurt at Cuyahoga Falls High School and our support staff. Diane Horvatic at Price. She also worked in our Black Tiger Remote Learning Academy the whole year for us. Stephanie Linneberg at Silver Lake School. Ellen Petrino worked district-wide as a secretary sub for us. Diane Sesto worked district-wide as a support staff, classroom support staff. Paul Shercliffe at Roberts Middle School, and Courtney Zimmerman at Silver Lake. So one more round of applause for you subs.
Thank you all so very much. It's true what Mrs. McClure said. We couldn't have done it without you. And families, you know, it wasn't always that one of our staff members had COVID. Sometimes there was just an exposure and a quarantine that required people to be out. And without our substitutes, we would have been in quite a pickle. So thank you all again so very much for keeping us running in such an odd year. We appreciate it. Now we're ready for our top Tigers, Mrs. McClure.
And I'm still here. So our top Tiger is a board award. And I'm going to introduce Mr. Gary Metcalf, who is the president of the Cuyahoga Falls Alumni Foundation, to kind of go over their sponsorship in our program. Gary, look at it.
Say a few words about the Cuyahoga Falls Schools Foundation and Alumni Association. First of all, how many of you out there are Black Tiger alumni? Raise your hand nice and high. Number two, how many of you belong to the Alumni Association? Raise your hand. For a mere $25. Now, if you'd like to join, see me afterwards. All the money goes back to the kids, and I'll explain in a minute. First of all, congratulations to all the top Tigers for a job well done all school year long, and I'm sure for your entire career here at Cuyahoga Falls City Schools. We'd like to thank our top Tiger sponsors, Donato's Pizza. You're getting a certificate for a little personal pan pizza. Dietz's Florist for carnations tonight. Young Screen Printing for the bag. Some of the things that the foundation does, we helped with the new entrance to Clifford Stadium. How many of you have been into Clifford Stadium to the football game and seen the bricks along both sides? You can still purchase a brick to honor your top Tiger for a mere $100. Don't all run up at once. We help with class reunions. We help out, we do an all-class reunion. We honor distinguished alumni. A week ago, we honored 5 distinguished alumni from Cuyahoga Falls High School. We provide teacher grants this past year, or this coming year. We will honor 7 teachers as recipients of teacher grants. We provide scholarships for graduating seniors. Last week, 58 graduating seniors will receive over $130,000 worth of scholarships. And one thing we can't do without alumni, and that's to give money away. So a lot of people who have donated, and remember, all that money goes back to the kids. And last but not least, all the top Tigers tonight will get a t-shirt. So if you see me right afterwards across the hall in the cafeteria, I'll get you a t-shirt. Thank you.
So top Tigers, here's how this works. When I call your name, you're going to come up forward to me. Mr. Hutch, who is helping me out tonight, has your top Tiger bag. Inside that are all the things Mr. Metcalf mentioned, all the donations from the folks that sponsor us, as well as your certificate and a copy of your nomination form for your parents to hang on the fridge. Okay, so we're going to start with a 5th grader at DeWitt School, Ariana Ruggles. Come on up, Ariana. So Ariana was nominated by Mrs. Taylor, Mrs. Short, Mrs. Pinkerton in the 5th grade at DeWitt, and they say, whoops, stay here, so you want to take a picture. Ariana is a 5th grade student at DeWitt Elementary who has been selected as our top Tiger for the month of April. Ariana displays top Tiger pride each and every day. Not only does she have exemplary work habits, which reflect her overall academic achievement, she also demonstrates respect to all students and staff at DeWitt. Ariana recently was represented in PBS News Depth for an outstanding episode to an article. All of these reasons are why Ariana has been selected as our top Tiger. Congratulations. Our next top Tiger, also a 5th grader from DeWitt Elementary, is Tyler Brooks. Tyler was also nominated by the 5th grade teachers at DeWitt Elementary, and they say it is with great joy that we nominate Tyler Brooks as DeWitt Elementary's top Tiger for the month of April. Tyler demonstrates respect to all of his classmates and interacts in the same manner with the adults who work with them each day. Tyler comes to school with a positive attitude and a readiness to learn, and consistently participates in classroom discussions. Congratulations, Tyler. We are so proud of your accomplishments this year. Our next top Tiger is a 3rd grader from Lincoln Elementary School, Katrina Garcia Cruz. Mrs. Zemba has this to say about Katrina. She comes to school every morning with a smile on her face and an eagerness to learn. She is always kind to others, willing to lend a helping hand, and fully contributes to classroom activities. Katrina always challenges herself to do her best, and she tackles new skills without hesitation. Katrina consistently demonstrates her integrity throughout the school day and sets an excellent example for others. It is an honor to nominate her for Top Tiger from Lincoln Elementary School. Congratulations, Katrina. Our next top tiger is a first grader, also from Lincoln Elementary School, Sohan Asti. Sohan was nominated by Mrs. Beth Van Houten. She says Sohan is a wonderful first grader at Lincoln Elementary. He comes to school every day with a smile on his face and an eagerness to learn. His kind heart has been noticed by several teachers and all of his classmates. He works well with all the students in his class, especially those who may need some extra help. Sohan is always willing to be a friend, whether it is in the classroom or outside at recess. He's an excellent role model and is a great example of a top tiger. Congratulations. Our next top tiger is a fifth grader at Preston Elementary School, Christina Scott. Christina was nominated by Mrs. Andrea Stair for the month of April, and she says, Tina has figured out something much quicker than most people, that life is so heavily influenced by two things that are totally within our control: our attitude and the effort that we put into everyday life. From the moment she steps off that bus, Tina is a force of nature. Engaging with every passerby, she strives to make connections, to make people laugh, and to feel part of her group. Her presence can change the tone of a room. A past winner of the Preston Kindness Award, she is the first to offer others congratulations and the first to offer her support when others are sad or disappointed. With all the changes that this year has presented, Tina has embraced every challenge. She is willing to jump in with both feet and try new things, except vegetables, without trepidation. Tina's progress and small victories each day have added up to big results. I admire Tina, and I hope she always remembers how proud Mrs. Stair is of her. Congratulations. Our next top tiger is all fifth grader at Preston Elementary, Liam Weekley. Liam has made great strides during his time at Preston and has earned the title of top tiger. He demonstrates the quality of a top tiger by overcoming adversity and growing as a student to become the best he can be. He has taken a younger, new student under his wing and has become a role model to this student. Liam helps him make good choices and calms him in times of frustration. I am proud of the strides that Liam has made. He has become a strong leader for our Black Tiger family, and I can't wait to see all the great things he will do in the future. Liam was nominated by Mrs. Rebecca Chafee from Preston Elementary. Our next top tiger is a fifth grader at Price Elementary, Briar Hillman. Briar was nominated by Mrs. Sheeby and Mrs. Beisel there at Price. Briar Hillman is such a hardworking and responsible student. He first demonstrated this to me during the spring when the district went remote overnight. Briar quickly adjusted to the expectations of this new learning environment and took responsibility for completing all of his work with care. This year, Briar continues to impress me with his wonderful work ethic and positive attitude. Briar gets along well with all of his classmates and has never had anything but kind words to say about other students. He organizes his work area and is ready to learn at all times. Briar's class participation is great. When he's called on, he's ready with an answer. Earlier this year, when asked to begin writing multi-paragraph essays, it was a struggle. He didn't give up and continues to improve with every writing assignment he completes. It's fun to watch how much he has grown and learned. Briar is a perfect choice for top tiger. I wish him well in middle school. And I should just say that this is the third top tiger in a row that Briar's family has been here. So the whole family. All right. Our next top tiger is a fifth grader from Price Elementary School, Alicia Elizabeth Koblenz. Alicia was nominated by Mrs. Sheevy, Mrs. Beisel, and Mrs. Wyckoff. Alicia is a very bright young lady. Allie sometimes struggles to express her feelings and has worked so hard to improve in this area. She has worked hard to learn coping strategies and to use her words to express her needs. This year, Allie has blossomed as a writer. She was reluctant to write in the past and has often caused her some anxiety. This year, she is a writer in all caps. She decided on her own that she wanted to write about her therapy dog, but she didn't just write any story. She wrote the story from the perspective of the dog, and I see it there. It's an amazing story. Allie created an entire chapter book, and she brought a copy here to share with the board members tonight. Our Board of Education might recognize Allie's name. She learned about civic responsibilities and taking initiative in her social studies class, so she took it upon herself to write an email to each board member about an issue she felt concerned about. Nothing will stop Allie. She can overcome obstacles and succeed when she puts her mind to it. Congratulations, Allie, on being our top tiger. Our next top tiger is a first grader at Richardson Elementary School, Raylynn Smith. Raylynn was nominated by Ms. Zellick at Richardson, and she says Raylynn is an outstanding student in and out of the classroom. Not only has Raylynn made tremendous academic growth this year, she has also come out of her shell and shared her shining personality with her teachers and peers. Raylynn comes to school every day ready to learn and always extends encouragement and kindness to her classmates. Raylynn truly brightens each room she walks into, and I am so proud of the accomplishments she has made this year. Way to go, Raylynn. Nice job. Our next top tiger is a second grader at Richardson Elementary School, Easton Giltner. Easton was also nominated by Ms. Zellick at Richardson Elementary. She says Easton is an outstanding student throughout all parts of the school day. Easton tackles each obstacle presented to him with determination and never gives up when faced with a challenge. Not only does Easton demonstrate hard work in the classroom, but he also works hard to be a terrific classmate, student, and friend. Easton's humor, style, and kindness truly brighten each room he walks in, and I'm so proud of the accomplishments he has made this year. Way to go, Easton. Congratulations. Our next top tiger is a kindergartner at Silver Lake Elementary, and his name is Gary Mcbride III. There he is. Come on up. Finding his way. Gary was nominated by Mrs. Miller, the music teacher, Miss Bittner, the art teacher, and Mrs. Angelo, the phys ed teacher. They have this to say: Gary is an outstanding Silver Lake Black Tiger. He goes above and beyond for his teachers and classmates throughout each day, does everything with a smile on his face. Gary puts 100% effort into everything he does and is always acting with kindness, enthusiasm, generosity, and respect. We adore having him in class and can't wait to see him grow in his time at Silver Lake. We are so proud of you, Gary. Our last top tiger of the evening is a fifth grader at Silver Lake Elementary School, Lucas Horn. Lucas was also nominated by Miss Bittner, Mrs. Angelo, and Mrs. Miller, all the art, music, and phys ed teachers there. Lucas has accomplished so much in his time at Silver Lake Elementary. It's easy to see on a daily basis that Lucas has made a habit of trying his best and giving all that he has in his schoolwork and relationships with others at school. Lucas has become a student that staff members and students at Silver Lake can depend on and count on. We will truly miss him and wish him the best as he moves on to middle school next year. Congratulations, Lucas. And that concludes my presentations for this evening.
Thank you, Mrs.
So,
McClure.
You are
One more big round of applause for all our top tigers.
You are certainly welcome to stay, but you are free to go if you would like.
Yeah, I figure we'll pass it around.
Thank you. We're going to resume our meeting now. And we're ready for Part D presentations. Wait a minute till the back end clears.
That'll help.
Yeah. Good talk, Item 4 on our presentations this evening is our 612 construction project update. So we have with us TDA and Hammond. Thank you for being with us.
I note that Cheryl did wear black and gold tonight. So we should give her credit. She's gonna be top tiger before you.
I
know.
I have to tell Chris I got a
Man.
Thank you.
Cheryl deserves it. So it's always hard to follow those top tigers. When we presented last month, we were just starting our design phase. We're a month into it now. Last month was a very, very busy month. So again, I think everybody in this room has now seen and heard our presentation of the different design phases and the design process, and then again reiterating the fact that these first few months are the most important for engagement and building our educational vision, which then we'll take into programming and schematic design and down the line. So last month was full of engagement opportunities. I think most of the people in this room probably attended at least one of those. On April 15th, we as a design team spent the day in the schools in the district just to observe. We spent some time in Bullock, Roberts, and then here at the high school just to observe the culture of the current buildings. And then after that, we did our first community presentation, and I think that went really well. We had a good attendance there in person, and we had good attendance online as well. And then as we look into May, we're having our second community meeting. But at the end of that first community meeting, we gave everybody homework to start thinking about their favorite piece of architecture in Cuyahoga Falls. And our communications team also pushed that out through social media, and we got over 200 responses to that. And many of people sent pictures. So it was and as part of our presentation next week for our second community engagement, we're going to kick off with some of that stuff. So that was a really good response that we got back on that one. So and then also the week of the 19th, we spent at Bullock, and we met with the staff for our first staff engagement. We met with 16 groups that week, from the core academic subjects through custodial maintenance and principals and food service. So it was a really good week. We got really good information from the staff. And then on the 29th, I think most of the people in the room were here for the educational visioning session, and I think that went really well. Again, lots of great information that we gathered from that. In June, I'm skipping ahead a month, but at this time next month, we'll be releasing our report on that. So it will be an actual a report, a PDF and hard copy report on all of the information and all of the results that we gathered at the educational visioning. But also Ryan from our communications team was there taking photos and video. So Ryan is currently editing all that together, and we'll be pushing out a video as well. And then that can be distributed to the community, the report and the video. Tomorrow, so we started our design process at the beginning of last month, but tomorrow we have our organizational meeting, which is our official kickoff with our state partner at the OFCC. So Dennis Kaplan, our state project administrator, will join us tomorrow, and we'll review really the basics, an overall review of the design process and construction process for the project, and that will involve the core team and the board, and then our partner from the state. The week of May 17th. Oh, I'm sorry. So next Thursday is that second design meeting. That second community meeting. We call it our visual preference exercise. So what we'll do is, like I said, we're going to kick it off with starting with some of the engagement that we've already got back from the community. We asked everybody in person that was at that and online to also If they haven't responded to that homework question, which what think about your favorite piece of architecture in Cuyahoga Falls, we're still asking everyone to bring that with them. We'll open up a little bit of dialogue there. And then what we do at the educational visioning, I'm sorry, at the at this next exercise is we'll put up boards in the front of the room, large boards, and we take just a few different exterior shots of buildings. They're going to look they're going to look pretty different, each exterior shot that you see, each board that you see, and we're going to be looking for what maybe someone prefers in brick patterns, or how the entryway is going to look, how windows should look. And again, we use all of this information to understand what the community is looking for in the exterior design of the building. So that's a little bit of a summary of what to expect next Thursday, and we encourage everybody to come. We will be streamed. That will be streamed online as well too. So if you can't make it in person, you will be able to see it online. And like we did for the first community meeting, the visual preference exercise we'll distribute that to the community through social media and other means as well, so people can participate almost in like a survey fashion even after that meeting.
Is that in the auditorium again?
It is in the auditorium, and but we're gonna have more discussion about it tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yes.
As far as the ticketing piece of it, given the fact that so many people chose to watch it online, or I'm not sure we're gonna have to go down that route again. We need to make a final decision on that tomorrow, and we'll push all that out through our social media accounts.
Is that at 6?
Yeah, 6 to 7:30.
6 to 7:30.
So then, and then the week of May 17th will be our second round of staff engagements. So we'll meet with the same group. So we'll meet with the same 16 groups that week as well. Our goal is to make sure we're meeting with the staff at least twice before we break for summer vacation. We'll be back here on June 2nd to give another update. June 3rd is kind of our placeholder for getting those educational visioning results out. It's also going to be our eco charrette. That's where we, the core team and the board and any member, we will look at we look at LEAD, which is it's the environmental impact and sustainability scorecard that we follow through the USGBC. We set our goals for sustainability for this building through the state with a co-funded state project. We have to meet LEED Silver certification. So this is our an exercise where we sit down and set our goals as a district of how we're going to meet that certification, what's important to us as far as sustainability goes. So that will be on June 3rd. And I'm getting into June now, but I try to keep it just a month ahead. The last thing is this team, the planning team, we're going to finalize the date, but right now we have penciled in that the week of June 17th will be our first time we meet for a work session outside of this board meeting with this planning team. So we'll finalize that day, the day of that, that week. But right now, that's what we're thinking of for our next planning, or our first planning team work session. So that's kind of my quick update of where we've been over the last month and where we're going. I know last time, I don't know, last time we opened up to some questions from our planning team. I don't know if we have any. It's only been a week since we saw everybody, but
I had a question from people on the neighbors of that. When is the first time that you'll be meeting with them, or is there a month?
Yeah, so I know typically before we start construction, we want to set a neighbor meeting up.
Yeah, I think what we want to do is we want to get into probably the schematics and the design development, so we kind of get the building sited. And then, because to engage with them now, they're going to have a lot of questions that we're not going to have absolutely no answers to. But yeah, once we get into the program and schematic design, we start to get the footprint, the building sited, then we're going to reach out to them. And it's going to be on several occasions. That's going to be the first pass. But I think we probably really need to have those documents. And then we need to wait until that process plays out, we present to the board, and then we'll reach out at that
So
point.
fall is the earliest.
Exactly right.
And then I had a follow-up question from a resident. What do you define as the neighbors? They asked. They're like, they don't border the project, but they're the next street over. So they were wondering, are we neighbors? Because their opinion is that they are. But they wanted to know, like, who gets invited to that?
Well, if they think they're the neighbors, then we're going to include
Okay.
them in as the neighbors. Yes.
Because that section on Revere and Norma, so IHM, which is parochial schools right there, and they get the traffic from them, so they're a little bit excited, concerned.
Well, and I think we can have a conversation. We can expand that, and I think it's just a matter of the venue that we need to have at that point. Can we hold it here? Do we need to have it at the auditorium or something? Yes, but absolutely, we do not want to exclude anybody.
I just promised I'd ask. And then I had another resident today brought up a good point about how the Crystal Clinic is building where the cake building that you've all heard a lot about from our community about used to be. And are we in talks with them at all to get what their building is going to look like? Because as we're thinking about what our building is going to look like, it's going to be our neighbor. And I had questions like, how is this all going to look together? So just something to think about.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So to date, no, I don't know. We haven't reached out to understand those plans. I do know that the district, all right, what I understand is the district is working with the partnership with them, and we will be treating them as part of our campus. So at least the way our site flows and things of that nature, we will be making that connection. But it would be important, even if just at a planning level, to understand how the traffic flow on their site is working, so we can connect it to our site and make that work and flow.
And last thing, at City Hall, somebody brought up, and it's a deep dive, but it might affect us. There is an endangered type of bat that is found in Cuyahoga Falls. It's well known by city planning, and you cannot conduct certain construction activities if it's found on your site. And Menards, which is 2 streets over, was impacted by this. Okay. So I had a question if we had looked into whether or not we have bats in the park.
The Indiana bats.
Yeah.
They're not even Ohio bats. They're Indiana bats. They come over here.
But it is a thing that
Right,
so
there's
you go, you know what?
Their mating period, they mate and they nest in shaggy bark trees. So there's a period that you cannot drop a tree. If the tree's on the ground, you're okay. So, but we're aware of that. Yes.
Okay. And when would we do the check to see? Because I know the city will make us do it.
The check.
So
to see if we have those bats.
You
can fell trees if you don't have them. That's the city's policy.
Well, I don't know that that's the Ohio endangered. Yeah,
Okay.
My understanding was that you can't be dropping trees during that period. That was my understanding of it. So we always like to get the tree.
I know
we always,
but people.
If we know we're going to do clearing, we'd like to drop those trees before that period.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah. I mean, is that your understanding of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one other option may be I know we had the environmental survey done.
PSI.
Early, PSI did that. It is not typical, that kind of study is not typically part of that basic services, but they do provide that so we can also reach out to
And
PSI.
it's minimal in price compared to all the other studies we've had to do, so.
Thank you.
I'm not an expert on Indiana bats, but I would think you could go through an area and say there's no bats here, and then the minute you walk away, they're there. I mean,
We gotta find a science person in the room.
Our guests that are with us this evening, do you have any questions for either TDA or Hammond?
The work session that you discussed week of the 14th of June, what, is that a full day event or would that be a?
No, it'll be
evening
just
event, or-
an evening event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Probably
Is
about
it
the,
possible to just participate remotely?
we haven't, I guess we haven't got into the details yet, but I
We
don't,
could talk about that
Yeah.
tomorrow, too, but then I
yeah, I think that's probably a possibility,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
get better participation.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for joining us this evening. We look forward to these updates and we appreciate you being here with us, so thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
See ya.
Mrs.
Thanks, Scott.
Schofield, Ms. Schofield, may we thank, please, our guests that came this evening. for this
Absolutely.
update. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Now we're ready for presentation number 5, Naviance, Mrs. Julie Dudones and Ms. Vicky Davis.
Number 5.
I've never been here before. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Ryan, are we gonna need one of those mics over there for when Vicky moves over?
If she's gonna come from here, we can go, Christie's over one
Okay.
time.
Super, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. President Schofield, members of the board, thank you for having us this evening. I learned recently something new, as we all try to learn something new every day. And what I learned is that the name of this product is actually pronounced Naviance. And I've been mispronouncing it for 7 years. So that is something that I learned from Mrs. Davis as she attends all of the professional development. And Naviance has actually recently been purchased by Power School. So we're kind of hoping that they switch to that because we think it's a cooler name. But we thank you for having us this evening. I have with me tonight Mrs. Vicky Davis, who's one of our awesome high school counselors. She works in the product, obviously, on a more regular basis. And so I have her input, and she's presenting part of tonight's presentation. And then I also had help from Melissa Fitzsimmons, who's one of our middle school counselors. She couldn't be here tonight due to a family obligation. So the first question is, what is Naviance? It's an online tool that helps understand students' interests, strengths, needs, etc. It helps our counselors, it helps our administrators, it helps the teachers to individualize support. Families can stay informed on student progress in Naviance. It's not progress in terms of grades, but families are actually able to log in to see what surveys students have completed, career interests, things like that we'll get into a little bit later. And then administrators also have that visibility so that they can see where are students interested right now, what's going on within their buildings. We have Naviance in Cuyahoga Falls. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. We started introducing it in 6th grade instead of 9th grade. And then the nice thing about that is students can keep the same account and log in until they graduate. And Naviance just added a Google integration feature that, with the help of Mr. Hutch and Ms. Shaw, I think we finally have working properly. Fingers crossed on that. So there are multiple features within Naviance, and Mrs. Davis is actually going to demonstrate a little bit, but it helps students in terms of colleges. It helps students in terms of careers. It helps them learn about themselves in a different way, maybe than what they're doing in a typical classroom. And then it actually has a planner section for them. So this is our site. Each Naviance site is specific to this, whatever school district is using it. So when students log in, they'll know they're in the right spot because it will have our tiger logo. If they go to our rivals across town, it's going to have a bulldog logo, that sort of thing. So what you see here, and this is linked on our school counseling page, There's a student login, parent or guardian login, alumni login, or guest login. How are we using this right now in Cuyahoga Falls? Well, at the middle school, students start thinking about career exploration in elementary, but then in the middle school, they actually start taking some quizzes and things like that to help match their interest to their abilities. So for example, if a student knows, gosh, I like to really be outside, then it might take them down one path versus a student who would rather work kind of in a cubicle by themselves. I don't want to work with other people. I don't want to talk to other people, that sort of thing. Students are able to explore their own unique skills and interests and understand how those interests could correlate to a future career. It allows for career exploration. And then as the counselors have discussions with the students, then that helps them say, oh, you think you might be interested in this? Maybe you should try taking this course to see what you like about that. Oh, you're, like this or that. Well, post-secondary, is college the right path for you? Is career the right path for you? We have enrolled, enlisted, or employed. Those are three things that we think about. So our school counselors do a great job of helping our students get there. And it is also in the ASCA domain of career development, which is our school counseling association. And so it helps the middle school students achieve those goals. In sixth grade, currently our sixth graders take a learning styles inventory. Again, this is very specific to them. Each student takes it by himself or herself. They're looking at environmental, emotional, sociological, physical preferences, and those are some of the things that I was just mentioning earlier. But in this case, what is it about that allows them to learn the best at school and at home? Because sometimes things are very different at home than they are at school. Seventh grade students do a career cluster finder that allows them to discover the career clusters. And we really talked about that a lot when we were doing the DENS, like looking broad picture. And so that's one of the things that it allows them to do, because although some students might say, I want to be a fireman, and maybe they do end up one day being a fireman, they might realize that there's something about that job that they like, but maybe that's not the exact job they want. So that's the beauty of a career cluster. Eighth grade, there's a quiz, for lack of a better term, called Do What You Are. And then this combines personality type and career interest survey. And then results reveal ideas for careers or college majors where students might be most successful based on that. And then there's a career key assessment that provides students with this Holland interest code, which allows them to do more research. All right, Mrs. Davis.
Thank you. So the students already have 3 years experience with Naviance when they come up to the high school. So in ninth grade, we do review all the tabs with them as a refresher. We go over the assessments that they've already taken, gone over the results, and we do explore new assessments with them. In ninth grade, they do the Strengths Explore, and that helps uncover talents and potential strengths that students might have and try to match their strengths and their interests together. And then in 10th grade, again, same thing. We review their assessments, the results, review the tabs, and they do the Career Interest Profiler. And this can help the students discover the types of work and activities and careers that match their interests. 11th grade, they do an experience called Road Trip Nation. Absolutely love this part of Naviance. It's one of my favorites. There's over 8,000 videos that you can research and view based on different struggles, triumphs, self-discoveries. You can search by themes, by interests, by careers. And then in 12th grade, we do individual sessions with the students and show them how to request transcripts, how to view scholarships, how to visit colleges, resumes, college and career search, their journals or planners, and everything else they need. We do meet individually with all students grade 9 through 12, but 12th grade, we see them a lot more often than just once. All right, so I will show you a little bit about what we were just talking about.
So while Mrs. Davis is finishing up her login, as she said, she's going to show you just some of the key things here. I did share the presentation with you so that you can see that virtually, but it does not have access to this. We could find out about giving you guest accounts. I'm not sure exactly what is involved with that, but I'm happy to explore that if that's something that you'd like.
Okay, this is just a student demo page. It's not an actual student here at Cuyahoga Falls. Now, Power School has merged with Naviance, so they have previewed to us some of their features and updates that we're very excited about. And they're also coming out with an app for students to put on their phone or iPad, which will be very convenient for them to access this information, because they can get into their account at any time. They can just need their username and password and visit whenever they want. So there's tabs up top here: My Planner, About Me, Careers and Colleges. This is their homepage that just gives a little bit about their favorites, what they've pinned as their favorites, some videos and websites that they can access for different information. But About Me site, we don't give the students agenda planners anymore, but now they can keep track of what they need to do virtually. Here is a calendar. They could add in here things that they need to do for the week, for the month, so they can help with practice time management. They can put in here the days they have to work, the days they have to test, days of big assignments are due, just to help see their month view at one site, one page, and be able to manage their time and plan appropriately. They can set goals for themselves on this page by pressing the plus button. They can create to-do lists for themselves as well by adding them here at the bottom. And then it could also send them email reminders to complete these tasks and to look at these goals by assigning tasks to themselves. So that's a helpful feature that the students like to use, since we don't hand out agenda books anymore. And then also on this site here is the About Me page. Okay, this is where students can enter all their testing scores. This is where they can visit their assessments. This is where their surveys are and things that they've pinned as favorites as far as post-secondary plans, careers, and colleges. They can even use this as a journal by putting in these journal entries. Parents and counselors cannot see the journal. That is completely private to students. We do not have access for that. So that is a way for students to journal however they feel best. And then also on here is a resume feature. This is so cool because sometimes, we don't know where to put our name, where to put our experience, where to put our clubs and activities. Here, Naviance formats it for you. All you do is press the plus button and answer these questions below.
Just like when you taught it in class, Mrs. White.
Oh, yeah.
You just fill in the required fields for all of the different options here. And then once you're finished, you just press export.
Wow.
And it prints it and formats it for you. We highly encourage the students to fill out this resume feature because not only can they use it for jobs when they're filling out applications, but it's also for teachers to use. When students request letters of recommendation, teachers know the great things they see of their students in the classroom, but they might not know all the great things about their students. They might not know all the activities they're involved in, all the awards they may have won. So having this done in Naviance, teachers can then refer to the resume to write an awesome letter of recommendation for students. So
I bet they use them for scholarships.
Yeah, they use them for scholarships too, yeah. So let's see, move on here. So that is the About Me page. Here's all the assessments that we ask the students to do. I've done one in this demo student page. It's a Strengths Explorer. This is what we do with the freshmen. And after you take the assessment, it gives you your top 3 themes. So for me, it says I'm an organizer, dependable, and achieving.
We agree. There you go.
So you can click on that and see related careers for those 3 themes. You can then also look at a full report that Naviance provides for you based on those 3 themes. It gives you
I'd like to do that.
detailed,
Can we do that?
complete summary of the
For a guest
themes.
account. Okay.
So that's
I'd
pretty
love
cool.
to do that.
Gives you a little view of yourself, and it gives you some action items as well to help you with your strengths and what you can do with those strengths and what kind of careers they can evolve into. And then it also provides you with a student workbook for the Strengths Explorer as well. More ways that you can expand on those strengths for your future. So all super cool features. All right. Let me back it up. Okay, the next part I want to show you is the career section. This is how students can research different careers. They can pin them, their favorites, so it shows up the careers that they're thinking about. You can do some virtual college events here as well. I like this here. You can either research a career by looking up the keyword, looking up the category of the career. You can search by your Holland code that you got in middle school about your top 3 personalities. You can search by cluster or even by alphabetical order. So these are all the careers in Naviance that start with the letter A. This is just the letter A. So it goes down. There's a ton. Every single career, I think, in the world is on here. And these are just A's. Whoa. All right, so I'll just go back to the top and click on the top one, accountant. Okay, it gives you an overview of being an accountant, the Holland code, related occupations, related majors, pathways. It gives you knowledge and skills of being an accountant, certain things that you need to have to be strong in this field. And then my favorite piece of this part is tasks and activities. Sometimes our students have glamorized views of different careers from what they see on TV or in movies. So if you've seen the movie The Accountant with Ben Affleck, people might be like, oh, I want to be an accountant. It's an accountant by day, vigilante by night. That's not what an accountant really does. So I really like this piece because it really shows students realistically what an accountant does day to day. This is what they really do. So some students look at this list and be like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is so what I want to do. I cannot wait to be an accountant. This is right up my alley. Or some students will look at this list and be like, what? I had no idea. I so do not want to be an accountant. I need to research something else. So I think this is a really important piece.
You need math for that?
Yeah. And then wages, because that's also important too. You want to be able to know that you can afford the things that you want to have in life. So it gives you national, state, and any other if you're planning on moving away. So that feature's really neat. And also Road Trip Nation, as I mentioned before, is my favorite. This is just so cool. We've done presentations on this for the teachers. We know a lot of the teachers have used these in their classroom. Over 8,000 videos broken into different themes and interests. So there's a couple different ways you can use Road Trip Nation. You can either scroll to the bottom and just see the recommended leaders that they have here. You can search by interest, theme, by leaders if you happen to know what you're looking for. Or if you have no idea what you're looking for and you just want to start watching, you just click here. And then here, 3-step process. You just choose a foundation, choose an interest, 2 interests. So let's say you're big on building things and you're interested in engineering. And another interest would be entrepreneurship. It then chooses for you some videos that you might want to watch. Let's see. Just click on Mr. Kaplan here. And it has a little video series, 8 little clips about him, his life, his road, his journey into engineering. A little biography here. But there's over 8,000 videos just like this. Themes discussed, So this is really cool. And I know a lot of teachers have used this in their classroom, no matter what subject they teach. There's always a video for every subject. All right, the last piece I'd like to show you is the colleges tab. Here, when they've searched careers, they were able to then click on majors for that field and possible colleges that have that field, and they could put a pin in there. So here is where they keep those pins of the colleges that they're thinking about. They can compare colleges. They can do college match scattergrams. Also, they have what's called a trademark bit called Super Match College Search. You just fill in criteria, 15 different criteria, and you prioritize them into must-haves and nice-to-have. And then it comes up for at the bottom, different schools that meet your preferences in your match. Okay. Also like to show you, this is where we also house our college visits and our scholarships, letters of recommendation, how to send transcripts. We have a national scholarship search, our local scholarship lists. And down here is college visit. Yeah. So many cool features. And again, looking forward to PowerSchool adding even more. Really excited about that app this kids could put on their phone and make it even more accessible.
On that note, I want to go back to something that Mrs. Davis said. She was talking about the teachers using Naviance, and especially here at the high school, the counselors have done a great job. They've done PD during staff meetings or ERFs with the whole staff so that all of the teachers know how to go in and access and make use of this, so it's not just sitting idle with all of these great resources to use. So I'm super appreciative of that, as you know, we're trying to get students ready for colleges or career. So that's great. Mrs. Davis, could you click on our slide? Can you get back to our presentation?
Oh, yes.
I can't see the tabs up there, so I don't know where it is. Do you want to talk about the things that you did this year because you weren't able to go into classrooms?
Yeah, and unfortunately, we weren't able to get in the classrooms. I mean, yes, we're back 5 days a week, but students are really using that tiger time to get caught up with the teachers. So we haven't taken that space yet, but typically that's when we do meet with students is during their tiger time. So instead, we created videos of all the lessons that we do each year, and we posted them to their Google Classrooms. We've sent them out to Tiger Time teachers, and have asked them to show these videos and have students watch them and do the assessments on their own. And then next year, when we're back, we'll be able to discuss the results with each student and make sure that everyone's caught up on the assessments and knows where to go.
Thank you. And as part of this, once they do these activities, then they're also doing just a quick exit ticket where they're writing and reflecting, which goes into our strategic plan goals of, you know, reading through things, writing, reflecting, discussion with the counselors. So all of the arrows are aligning and things are tying in together. The last page we have is just if you have any questions for us, or specifically Mrs. Davis.
So I have a question. What kind of feedback do we get from the students probably about this time during the year for our seniors on how helpful all of this was to guide their career or their college choice or their or whatever? Is there some kind of a assessment tool that is built in where kids can say, you know, it was most helpful to watch the career videos, or it was most helpful to do the personality inventory, or whatever? So, or isn't that a component of this?
I don't know if we can see that sort of data, but in the classrooms when we do these lessons with the students, it's so great to see their faces when they hear of a career that they never even heard of before by doing these assessments. So like, oh my gosh, I never knew this career existed. This is right up my alley. I'm going to now research where I can find the training for this career. Not necessarily college, but maybe trade school or military perhaps, but just to see them get excited about something that matches their strengths and interests and possibly something that they didn't even know existed. So a lot of students only know about jobs that are, you know, in front of us with our families and within our community, within our state. They sometimes don't realize all the opportunities that are available, you know, outside of Ohio.
And we are able to use this to help with our career tech program. You know, we have 27 different programs within the 6th District Compact. So results of this
having students reflect on that can also help them think about which of those career programs they would want to go into. We could certainly ask students to, we could make a Google form to ask them like which features they found most helpful. But it's not something that's built in to Naviance.
And my second question is, I'm sure there's pieces of this that are required, so to speak, like you're required to complete the inventory, but you're not required to do a calendar or a journal or some things are available, but other things are required components. Is that an accurate assumption?
Yeah, so we can see through the data piece, which students have not done the assessments and which ones have.
You can't, or you can?
We can. So next year, we're hoping to catch up with everybody who maybe did not do the assessments that they were asked to do this year. Just
And
to
I
make
do
sure.
those independently. It's not like, okay, it's the first week of January and all freshmen are gonna do the career cluster inventory or whatever. It's not that kind of a structure.
No, we go into the Tiger Time and meet with each student as a classroom. So maybe 15, 20 at a time. Typically, again, not this year. They've just had to watch a posted video, but typically we go into the Tiger Time classroom and do these in a smaller, medium group and make sure that and then follow up with the students that weren't there, follow up with the students who maybe didn't have a chance to complete it, to try to get as close to 100% as possible.
Okay, thank you.
I have a follow-up question to that. What do we do when a student transfers in like ninth grade, or maybe they went to a parochial school and now they're coming here? Do we not worry about it, or do we catch them up, or?
We catch them up.
Okay.
Yep. Part of the student process is we get them a Naviance account and kind of catch them up with what we've done so far and ask them. And they're excited. This is an assignment they like to do because it's all about themselves and their strengths and self-discovery. And usually that's something that they are excited to do.
I just want to thank you for taking the time to be here, because I knew that we had this, but I did not have any idea what it did. And it's pretty awesome. And I think it is preparing them for whatever they do, because when you're in college, you have to get used to those different Blackboard accounts and checking, and things are in different places. And now at work, we have it's called HR connection, and your whole work life is built into this little system. So it really is providing them practical skills that they'll need in their futures as well.
And I know for my daughters, one of whom just graduated from college and the other one is in her second year in college, well, just finished yesterday, but they had Naviance. One day I'll say it right. And they were so grateful to have like all of the scholarship information all in one place because they had no idea, it was, Mom, how do I go about this? And I said, oh, I happen to know that your school uses Naviance. And so it was awesome to have so many opportunities right there. And they have to learn how to self-advocate. They have to go in and request a transcript. They have to go in and request a letter of recommendation. And it's not just, Mom sends an email and says, Mrs. Davis, would you please write a letter of recommendation? Students need to go in and do that. And it's, as you said, preparing them for whether it's a college or career, they have to learn to advocate for themselves in that way. So.
It's a long way from the scholarship drawer we had. Went in every week and tried to see if there were any new ones that you could apply for.
Yeah, when I first started, that's what we had, that cabinet here.
A little better than that.
Speaking of independence and involvement, are the students pretty independent, or do the parents have a role in any of this?
Students, they do forget, how do I get into Naviance, or where do I request a transcript? And we still have parents that will email us as well. So it's a combination of both, but we're just hoping over the years with more, we just started with the middle school a little bit ago, that they have, the more experience they have with Naviance, the more they can then do it on their own.
So do you find that the kids generally keep the password to themselves, or do they frequently share it with their parents?
They probably share it with the parents.
And that's what I'm wondering, because as much as we want to encourage the kids to be independent, we know that some of the students take a little extra encouragement. And so I was wondering, how we discover or how we pursue the independence that the students are taking and ownership of their own future, own career, own involvement, own the ownership that they have. Because truly, I'm a parent, you know, and we've all had those parent moments where we see our kids are either handling it well or not doing well with it. So do we have systems put in place to help those kids who are maybe not aggressive with their own involvement in this program?
Yeah, we can see which students haven't done the assessments or put any plans in here as far as what they're wanting to do. So then we will check in with them to say, hey, you know, you haven't completed all your assessments yet. Do you know what you want to do when you graduate? You know, it's okay if you don't know just yet, you know, but to start to thinking is important about it now, and start researching and evaluating your strengths and your hobbies, your interests, and what careers match those. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions on Naviance?
There is an adult version, Mrs. McClure, of the strengths.
Oh,
thing.
good.
It's called Strengths Finders 2.0.
Oh, I need to do
And
that.
it's a book
Mr.
that
Morris
you
has
buy.
sent us. To see if after all these years I've
And
done the right
Morris was a
thing.
big fan.
Yes,
Or
Mr. Morris
sent
us
And the seminary is part of one of our classes.
Oh, there you go.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate your time
Thank
tonight.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you both very much. And last but not least tonight, item 6, Mrs. Moffett and Ms. McClure, our focus book study.
Mrs. Moffett, I'm real tired. You want to just come on up here and take care of this?
I wasn't planning on it, but Mrs. McClure, Ms. Freytag, Geiger, Freytag, Ms. Bogdan, myself, Kier Walters, Chris Shaw, and John
Wasilko, yeah.
Wasilko.
I was just kidding. I'm
Thank you.
prepared if you
Thank
don't
you.
want
I have my
to.
notes.
Okay.
Rock and roll.
So our group that Mrs. Moffett just mentioned had the last official chapter of our book. The rest of the book is kind of putting it all together. So we were chapter 7, making math meaningful. We had some great discussion about this, and then after looking at everyone else's kind of input, really the 2 key ideas from this chapter were not anything that was earth-shattering, things that we didn't know. Math has the highest failure rate of all the subject areas, of all the core subject areas in school systems, in secondary education, and in high schools and middle schools and elementary schools. The second main idea that is a little more focused on the staff piece would be that there really is a need for intense, focused professional development for math teachers, and not just new math teachers, not just our pre-service teachers, but all the way through those veterans. It really boils down to that we need to learn to teach more of the why of math versus the how of math. And teaching the why is really what this chapter was all about. And again, it had that tie to literacy, leading with that literacy-based approach to math rather than just the simple mechanics of it. It should be noted, we had a good discussion with especially our building principals, that our math curriculum, our new math curriculum in elementary school, the Envision, high school math is the big idea, and Cengage, are all centered on teaching the why. They really, our administrators really felt that these programs that we have implemented with our kids does a good job with that concept, that literacy-based approach. A little bit more about the why. It was very interesting. Hillary, who is a math teacher in her former life, she said, I was a strong math student. I got to college. I stuck with math because that's what I like math. She said, but then I finally had a professor who taught her how to teach the why. And she said it was like the light bulb went on. She said, I had that huge aha moment. I finally got it. And she said, for that to happen as a teacher, and she said, I was very fortunate that I had that happen, as a young pre-service teacher. So that was interesting. And teaching that why really means explaining why you're doing those steps in the process, rather than some kind of a gimmicky little trick to make the math work for you. And so saying that this is the trick to make it work versus the why it's going to work. Because if you understand why you're carrying that digit over, or why you're, taking care of the stuff in the parentheses before you take care of the stuff outside the parentheses, instead of just that foil, because sometimes that doesn't always work. So the stereotyping of math was a third thing that we talked about, that we need to not feed that stereotype of math. We need to, our parents, when they say, well, I wasn't good at math, when, the parents say to the kids, well, I wasn't good at math, so I can understand why you don't understand math. Or I don't understand that new math, so I'm going to just teach you the way that I know it. That stereotyping of everybody can do math. I mean, everybody can do math. And there's nobody that's bad at it. It's sometimes they're just not taught the right way for them. So we're trying to put a stop to that stereotypical, I'm not good at math, that concept. And that has to start in our schools, obviously. But that message also has to be communicated to our homes. There's a couple great debates in math. There's too many standards to address in math. And that's been prevalent in the whole book, right? Mm-hmm. The problem with math that is not a problem with the other concepts is that it's not easy to pare down those standards in math because of the way they overlap and the way they have to scaffold upon each other in order to gain that knowledge. You can't have these standards and forget all about these in the middle, because these are important to the why to getting here. We also had a little conversation about the spiraling and coming back and around to the concept. We did use a math series at one point in this district that was the thing to do. Continue to come around to those concepts. Like, you're going to teach a little bit of time every day to elementary kids, a little bit of money every day. That can be counterproductive. This author says, we had debate whether or not that's actually what we really think. But the author says that good standards need to focus on a small number of topics so that teachers can spend months on them, not just days. Overlapping topics make that impossible, because then everything is just everywhere and it's all over the place. The second great debate was the automaticity of facts. And that is a huge debate, not only in our little group, but I think it's a debate in every educator in the world. Those time tests, and you've got to know your facts, and you're in the car and you're practicing them, and you're at the dinner table and you're practicing them. And I did that with my own kids. Can be anxiety producing, can be frustrating for kids who just don't think that way. But yet, on the other hand, they can be beneficial for kids, especially as they're getting into that higher math, that algebra type math, where if you have a quadratic equation where you've got numbers in parentheses and you've got them on either sides, if you already know that 7 times 3 is 21, then you can go through that a little more quickly than, all right, I got to get my calculator out. 7 times 3, okay, that's 21. Okay, like 4 times 6, okay, that's 24. And if you just know those things, that makes that process a little smoother. So, of course, we didn't have any answers for that great debate, but that's a huge debate. So finally, to wrap up, the now what piece. Obviously, continued support for our staff in the teaching of the why, and our parents in helping them to understand how we're teaching math. Teaching that why needs to become part of our Black Tiger Way. We feel we've done the first step with introducing that solid curriculum. However, we feel we may have created a little bit of a monster because we didn't have a solid curriculum for so long that our teachers had the autonomy to kind of go find what was best for them. And that was all over the place. So we realized we may have created that kind of a monster purely due to financial issues. I mean, unfortunately, that's what it comes down to. We realize we need to increase collaboration time, especially as we move towards a 6-12 environment, for those math teachers to really work together so that they are all on a consistent message and all teaching in a consistent fashion. Students need to be given permission to fail at math problems. They need to be able to So they need to understand that it's okay to not get it or to get it wrong, and sit there with their teachers or with their peers and walk through those steps, so that, because that's how they're going to learn. That's how they're going to learn the why. It's okay to fail at math, right? At a task in math, and it shouldn't be punitive. Finally, we talked how our ICS work that we're doing in the district kind of overlaps into this math, because our math success or our lack of math success is also very disproportionate amongst our student groups in our district. As we are seeing, as we dig more and more into it, that's kind of across many, many, many facets of our district. So that is where we landed. So do you have questions for me, or Kathy, anything you'd like to add?
I think it's hilarious in a way, because if we have our departments and someone's working in the language arts department and they say, okay, we want you to integrate math, there's a little shiver that goes down your spine. But I also think that same shiver might go into some math teachers when we say writing and communication needs to be a bigger part of your program. Because throughout the book, Mike Schmoker is very clear on communication and how crucial it is to have writing and discussion as a part of every subject that we teach. And since this guy isn't local, I'm going to call him out. Cal Thomas. Having read Schmoker has been an enlightening moment for this old gal, but I was really tickled to know that this guy wrote a whole editorial about Virginia flunking mathematics, when he's really taking a look at how equity is impacting curriculum and what they're going to be doing throughout the state. And it had absolutely nothing to do with them failing in math. He equated putting equity into the curriculum as dumbing down the curriculum. And therefore, he missed the entire point of equity in schools. And he can come and visit me. I'll talk to him. I'll share the book with him, because I really think he did a huge disservice by implying that when you put equity into a curriculum, you are dumbing it down and not giving students who may excel opportunities to continue to excel. What he's saying is we need to take a look at the way we design curriculum. We need to see how we can make it understandable for everyone, and that is not at the expense of anyone. So, Mr. Thomas, you're welcome to shoot me an email. You're welcome to write an apology once you learn what you really should have been stating in your editorial, because unfortunately, many people who read this, I'm fearful, will believe that what he said is the absolute truth. When we enlighten folks, thanks to this book and some other curriculum studies, know that bringing equity into a curriculum is not dumbing anything down at all. So, thank you. Also, I love the prompts. I think the answer is in math. I would have sat there hoping I never had to answer it. I think that because, and I figured it out by. These are the discussions that we had at our household when our kids were going through, and believe me, I was just as enlightened as our girls when Mr. Moffat was explaining things to us, because what we discovered in our focus group is also that the higher level math courses that a lot of the kids need to take, calculus, trig, a lot of the classes that my husband took that were a part of his science profession aren't used. Most of the people in these STEM professions are not using those higher level maths. What they're using are statistics and basic addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So I even called one of my brothers who's a physician, and he affirmed that. A lot of the classes that he took, a lot of the classes that my husband took with those higher level maths just aren't applicable in their profession. So we need to think, why are we forcing these kids who are taking certain majors through these higher level math classes when perhaps they will not be needed in their career? Is it something that you need to move on in your major? And if so, I'm sorry, because maybe it's not necessary for you to be successful in that field. So there's a lot to think about. want to think about. And I'm so tickled that we took the time to focus on this, and I'm hoping that our staff will find it equally enlightening and enjoyable.
So, and on that note, just, so next year, our plan as a district is that our staff is going to be engaging in this book study with focus. Our administrators are going to start, we'll probably have a multi-book study next year, but we're going to start with his Leading with Focus book. So it's not super long. So we're going to start with that. So I'm interested to start reading this one and just kind of see how it correlates. So thank you very much,
Mrs.
Kathy, for your
Moffett,
help.
And thank you, Ms. McClure.
Absolutely.
We're ready for item E, Treasurer's CFO's business by consent agenda. Ms. Stoykoy.
I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve all items listed in the treasurer's consent agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Under discussion, we have as one of our donations, our very own Stephen Powell donated a lawnmower to our high school fresh farm. So thanks, Stephen. We appreciate your generosity. Roll call, please.
Ms. Moffett?
Aye.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Now for comments.
I just have a couple. First, I think I've mentioned before, I don't know if I've mentioned here at a board meeting, that we are going to a independent agency for our audit. The state is, some of the people that were doing our audit are retiring. Carol Petro is retiring next year.
Darn.
Oh gosh, why can't I think of her name right now? The other woman?
The other one that parks in the office.
It's normally there. She retired already. And so, and they typically do this. There are a number of, they can't cover everybody. So they send us out to bid. So they sent us out to bid. It's a 5-year contract. It was awarded to Julian and Group, who does our gap stuff already, 2 different people, but it was awarded to Julian and Group. I've worked with Julian and Group for a number of years. They are great to work with. And as much as I love everyone that works in the state auditor's office as people, they spend a lot of time at my office and whatever. And Julian and Group does not. They're there like a couple days. So we will be, that's a 5-year contract starting then for this fiscal year that they'll be doing that. So that happened this week. The official statement was wrapped up this week, and so we are supposed to go to market next week with the bonds. I have not heard a date specifically. We were looking at the middle of the next week, but I have not heard anything as of yet. We wrapped up and put the final once over on the official statement, so we have that. And the last thing is that last week I spent most of my time at the annual OASBO conference. I did some moderating. I also got to spend wonderful 3 hours doing my annual public records training. It's just so informative and new every year. But one of the sessions that I did help moderate was one of our general sessions. And we had a speaker, Michelle Norris, who I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with. She was formerly a co-host on NPR on the All Things Considered show, and she now writes for the Washington Post. But given that OASBO, and now I am the president, the chair of the DE&I committee, she started a project about 5 or 6 years ago. It's called the Race Card Project. And I believe that's the website, theracecardproject.com. It was very interesting information. Basically what it is she asked people in 6 words to send in, and it used to be on postcards, but now it's obviously a lot electronic, but to submit comments on their experience of race in the United States in 6 words. And so she showed a bunch of them. It's very, very interesting. She was a great speaker. She was super nice. But I just thought that was an interesting little project. I think, actually John Wasoko and I we're in charge of the next, White Fragility. So we'll probably explore that a little further, but some of the cards, the postcards that were sent in. It's just a different, interesting perspective on some things that you don't always think about. But it was a good week. So that's all.
Thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Stoikoi?
I have two. So, do we do 5-year forecasts at the next meeting?
Yep.
I couldn't remember if they moved the May one when they moved the October.
No, they moved that, and then before I forget, the first resolution for the renewal will be on next meeting as well.
Okay, thank you.
I just got that this week.
We're ready for item G, Superintendent CEO's business by consent agenda. Ms. McClure?
Good evening. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve all the items listed in the superintendent's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I
Please
want.
call the- Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Gomez. Please call the roll.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moffitt?
Aye. Any comments, Ms. McClure?
I don't have any comments unless you have any questions for me on anything. Good? No? But I've talked enough tonight.
All right. Thank you. Item I, board business. Item 1, future agenda items.
I have something. It came up with a conversation with one of our educators last week at the visioning session. And she was pointing out to me that a lot of the things that our kids have learned this year are reflected in our vision of what a black tiger is. You know, that they've faced challenges and they've grown in different ways other than just classroom learning. So if there could be some way, Ms. McClure and whoever you want to work with, we could ask kids to look at that vision of what a black tiger is and maybe identify something and say, during the pandemic, I learned to self-advocate or something so that we can acknowledge the other things that they gained during this time. And perhaps also maybe ask our staff, what's something that really you see on this vision of a black tiger that you really have had to bring out in yourself during that time? And I think it would be a good way of bringing that vision of a black tiger forward and highlighting some of the other things that students and staff have gained during that time. And I'll give a shout out to Miss Jennifer Culver because she helped me think of that idea. So our thanks to her as well, because I think that's really insightful thing. And then if at some point, even if you just write it up, Mr. Bugatti, we have an update on the timeline for the Silver Lake Playground, maybe in your notes that we get this week, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
We're ready for committee reports. Alliance for School and Community Growth, Mrs. Moffitt.
None.
Okay. Athletics and Activity Council, Dr. Hall.
We're meeting May 24th at 5:30.
Thank you. Board Policy, Ms. White or Mr. Gomez.
Nothing at this time.
Business Advisory, Mrs. Moffitt or Ms. White.
None.
Financial Advisory, Dr. Hall.
We meet May 14th at 9 a.m.
Foundation and Alumni, Mr. Gomez.
We meet this coming Tuesday.
Legislative Liaison, Mr. Gomez again.
Yeah, so there's not much to say about the budget. I did get an email about what the Senate's trying to do, but I have not had a chance to read it yet today. It just came in late. But there is one House bill I wanted to highlight. Passed the House and it's now over in the Senate. It's passed the House before and the Senate hasn't acted, so let's hope that they don't. But it's about these community reinvestment areas and increasing the percentage with which a city council can approve a CRA without school board approval,
Right.
which is essentially giving away business tax dollars and then forcing our residents in the district to have to pay more. So it's trying to up it to 75% for residential without school board approval and 100% for business without school board approval. Right now it's 50% for both. So that would be terrible for us. So we want to just, I'm keeping an eye on that. OSBA is keeping an eye on that and letting us know, but Senate has not acted yet, but that's a big one.
Thank you. Student achievement, just a quick report. The OSBA, Ohio School Boards Association, student achievement consultant will be having the end of year virtual meetings for all the school district liaisons coming up in June. If any of you have any questions you'd like me to submit in advance, please send me an email and I'd be happy to do that. And then also this week, ODE launched a public service announcement campaign as part of a recruitment initiative to do two things. One, diversify the teaching profession and the other is to encourage people to enter the teaching profession. They intentionally launched it this week to coincide with Teacher Appreciation Week. That's it on student achievements, and we're ready for comments. Dr. Hall.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say congratulations to Anisha Lingdon and David Penta for being the Make the Grade Teens of the Month in the Akron Beacon Journal. And the high school PTSO, I believe, can still use gift cards for those graduating seniors. They're $25 gift cards. It's a great way to, contribute. And just thanks to the community members who also who attended the educational visioning session last Thursday, which was really a great event. I had to leave early, unfortunately, but I made it to lunch, and it was a great experience. So that's all.
Thank you, Dr. Hall. Mrs. Moffett?
Check, make the grade. Check, gift cards. Check the educational visioning, but I'd also like to compliment the bands on very great concerts I attended through Zoom. Falls had their band concert last week. Roberts had it yesterday. So thank you to all of our people who are putting on programs for us, expressing their artistic work throughout our city. It's enjoyed by so many. So thank you to all of the teachers and students for making this possible.
Thank you, Ms. Moffett. Check, Art Walk. But I do want to say I'm excited to hear that we are going to have a senior honk out on Friday, the 21st at Waterworks Park. So that should be fun. If any of you participated last year in the one at Blossom, it was a great way to have some support and send off for our high school seniors. So I was happy to hear that announcement from Mr. Jason Smith. So that's fun news and good news. And everyone now knows that our graduation is going to be at Canal Park on the 25th. So that should be interesting as well. A whole new venue. And folks asked, why aren't we at Blossom again this year? That seems to be the biggest question. And what I understand to be the case is that, and the question, the other part of it was, because Woodridge gets to have graduation at Blossom. What I understood to be the case was that because Blossom is in Woodridge's school district, Blossom allows Woodridge to have their ceremony there at no cost. And our cost would be prohibitive for our seniors to pay to rent that facility. And I guess it's higher than ever before because their rental fees have increased due to COVID shutting down all of their income last year. So the cost, I guess, was just prohibitive. And so another venue needed to be identified. So I'm grateful they were able to find Canal Park and do that coming up as well. Ms. White?
Well, on that note, I was very disappointed and really disheartened when I heard that Blossom will no longer let us hold our commencement ceremonies there. I think it's been well over 30 years where our seniors have walked across that stage at Blossom, as some of their parents have before, and so on. It's been a tradition in our community. Terrible disappointment to me. I almost want to write a letter to them. The Musical Arts Association is in charge of Blossom. They are the board for the Cleveland Orchestra, which Blossom is their summer home. And it just really irritates me no end because our high school, as most of you know, we just won one of the 21st music awards for our community, 2021 Best Communities for Music Education. So to me, it was really disappointing, totally, that we cannot continue at Blossom like we have done. I also wanted to thank Summit County Health and our staff for providing now to our schools rapid tests so that if your student or child is ill, you can go in and just pick up a test, which I did for my grandson. And it's really nice that they're free. They're right there at the schools and the nurses hand them out. So thank you to our staff in Summit County. I also want to give a big shout out to Gold Tones. I was lucky enough to go and watch them, and they were just awesome. I mean, they have not had a fun year this year, as most of our students haven't, and it was hard, but they did a wonderful job. Just wonderful. And finally, I have, as always, a little article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Pandemic offers opportunity to reduce standardized testing. And just some of the points, because I think that most people in the community, teachers, whatever, know that I am really anti-testing. I don't like it at all, especially standardized tests, because I don't think they take all kids into consideration. But at any rate, we begin by ending the practice of giving annual tests to all kids in most grades. It should be a sample of students can fulfill external accountability requirements, while educators within schools, with help from the central office, focus on the needs of individual students and staff based on more authentic assessments of student learning. Many other nations use a sampling methodology rather than a census one. And to me, that's, so the testing, for example, would be in 3rd grade, 5th, 8th, and probably none in high school, not needed. They do the SAT, they do ACTs, they have advanced placement, industry certification tests, and so on and so on. So why bother? To me, this article made sense, and I'd like to thank Mrs. Schofield for letting me read the Cap'n, which I love and which I couldn't afford after I retired, but she gives them to me to read, and I do. And I just really thought that that was something we hopefully get away from testing. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Mr. Gomez.
As we all know, it's Teacher Appreciation Week. I want to give a shout out to our PTOs, PTAs, and our Home and School League. They are really going all out this year to make sure that our teachers feel appreciated. Just some examples I want to highlight. Yesterday at Silver Lake, they had a food truck come and do like a brick oven pizzas to order for their teachers. Today they had a Cinco de Mayo party for them. Yesterday at DeWitt, they had therapy goats, which was a huge hit. The demand has increased for that. They also had Swenson's yesterday. Roberts provided Chick-fil-A for all their teachers on Tuesday. Tomorrow, Price is providing Big U's for all their teachers. I think the high school provided breakfast today for their teachers. They are just trying to make sure our teachers know that we all felt the pain of this year. We all appreciate what you did. So thank you to all of them for making sure our teachers know how much they matter. And I should say, they always make sure to include all the staff. For example, at Roberts, they made sure to save food for the night custodians when they came in. So just that example of the culture of caring that we have here in our district. Yay. A lot of them are here, so yay to them.
Thank you.
Like Ms. White, I was also lucky to know a parent of a Gold Tone that you could see kids perform in person.
It's nice.
Warmed my heart in a way that I couldn't believe that it was possible. Our educational visioning was absolutely amazing. I spoke with a parent of one of the students that was there, and they said that he could not stop telling everyone. He had to call his grandparents to tell them about it. He was so excited. He was so proud. So that's what we wanted, and we got it. So I'm also, last night, got to go support the Roberts PTSO at the Kona truck. And is it this month that Roberts is getting for Dairy Queen, who we honored earlier? You can go all the month of May to Dairy Queen, and it supports Roberts PTO. And I'm very excited that I get to volunteer at prom this weekend with the PTSO and work the water station. So my thanks to them. Excited to get to do some in-person events. That was my bouquet, but now for a thorn. I also, at our educational visioning session, had a very disappointing conversation with an administrator in our district who told me that when I speak about our parents having concerns, I'm just talking about a small group of complainers. And that attitude is why we have a problem in this district. That attitude should never be allowed in our district. I have never heard a teacher say that, even about the most difficult parent. They don't call them complainers. They might be frustrated. They might say some other thing. But to call our parents complainers when they're bringing up real issues that are affecting their children is unacceptable to me. And I have, as you all know, a real deep passion to make sure that our parents are heard, make sure that our parents feel confident that this district is where their kids belong. You know, that's a flame that's been lit in me, and I keep carrying it on. And this is very hard for me. But yesterday, my sister bought a house in Hudson because my sister, the sister of someone who's been on the school board for 4 years, doesn't want her kids to go to this district. And that hurts. And that hurts. And that's my sister. And I can't tell you how many times I have told her all the great things that go in this district. And she was determined to make sure her kids didn't go to this district. So that flame that's been lit in me, it's a wildfire now. So watch out. Because I'm going to keep advocating that that's not how our parents feel. I don't want one parent to feel that way. And I sure as heck didn't want my sister to feel that she had to leave our school district. So thank you.
Item J, executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G1. It is hereby moved that the board adjourn to executive session for the purpose of considering the employment of a public employee.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moffett?
Aye.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.